Darius, go to class.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Whiteboard Wednesdays. Today, just to hit up everyone right at the very beginning, let's get everyone to follow on YouTube at the Tony Mac Show or on IG Live on the Athlete Institute account, or you could follow on the IG Live that Coach Jeremy has going on that's only facing himself right now.
That's because it's about to go off.
It's the Instaman cam. We're joined today by a special guest, Jarryn Skeete, who grew up playing in Brampton and recently played in the NBL finals. Played for the St. John's Edge. Tell us a little bit about your experience this year and how you finished up the season and what were the highs and lows of this year's season.
I had a lot of fun this year. It was my second year back. It was good to make it a step farther than we did the year before. We made it to the conference finals last year, and this year we got to the finals. So obviously that's something good. I got to play with Big Baby, so got to play with someone who has a high level IQ and played at a high level.
How was that?
It was good to see what it takes to prepare for, I guess, to play at that high level, to play in the finals and stuff like that. So we got to learn a lot of stuff from him. What else really?
Did he lead?
Big time. Especially when it came to the preparation of just winning a game, and then not only winning a game in the regular season, but winning a game in the finals. He took that extra step to show us that, like, you got to be so locked in.
Now, this was a great season for you, stats-wise.
Yeah.
Before the show started, we were having a little bit of a talk about stats versus wins or stats versus losses.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think attributed to your better stat year this year?
I finished the year really strong. I think my mindset and my preparation before the games, throughout the weeks, I was lifting more, trying to get shots up before and after practice, and then just going into the game with just an aggressive mindset from the jump, because everyone kind of knows me as more of a pass-first guy. But when I started scoring, it opened up the whole court for me. And, I was asking these guys, like, what's, like, the balance between I played well but we lost? So when we lose, you don't want to be in the locker room like, well, I had 18 points, so, like, sucks to be you guys. And,
well, I'll throw that to these guys as coaches because I don't want to screw up your next contract. But what's your opinion? I mean, we preach to our kids. It doesn't matter what the stat sheet says and things. As kids growing up, it's always win team. But when you become a pro, what is that balance in your guys' opinion of wins versus stats?
Right, absolutely. Well, I think first and foremost, when you're a Final 2 team or a Final 4 team, there's no question that, you are a winner because it's hard to make it at that stage alone. So somebody's producing at that level, in the finals or, games of 4, it shows that you're still part of a winning team. I have more so of an issue in a team is, let's say, 2-17, 3-16, or a record like that's well below 500. That kind of is where I draw that line of you're putting up a lot of stats, but you're not even close to 500. So I feel it has to be a certain level of, like a benchmark. But in terms of like a pro, you gotta have a good resume, and your stats is huge. So there's kind of both sides to it. So it can get tricky for sure.
I think it's a balance. I think if you're filling it up, that's fine. But it's like if you're losing, obviously it's something else that you probably should be doing. Maybe you should be taking less shots. Maybe you should be scoring less. That's conducive to your team winning, because they're gonna look at your resume and say, look, you're a loser. So yeah, you're gonna get a job because technically you can score the ball, I think. But now it's kind of like, yeah, I got a job 'cause I'm scoring the ball, but then you're playing on worse teams as you go along. Mm-hmm. So now you just out there just getting the bucket and really not worried and concerned with nothing. And I think your career can kind of show that. And I think even with kids now, I think they get consumed by the wrong thing. Like they compare their high school to what pros have to go through. Like Skeete might have to go get 25, in order for his family to eat or whatever the case may be. And his high school kid, well, Skeete's scoring 25 and they losing and he don't care. He does care. But life calls for him to have to do certain things in a certain manner. And kids don't even have the perspective. And it's like you see these mixtapes and EYBL stats and all that, and kids putting out mixtapes and they getting popped. And it's like, oh, but I had blah, blah, bam, in the grand scheme,
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Because you ain't judged, Coach K ain't enamored by watching you score 40.
That's what I said. Like, especially when teams like well below 500, like you're not even in the ballpark.
Yeah,
At
like-
that point, it's irrelevant.
I mean, I'll put it back on you a little bit. If you walk back in the locker room after you really fought hard for a win, lost by 2 or lost by 4, and you hear a teammate say, well, I don't give a crap. I scored 25. I mean, are you looking at him kind of sideways like, yo, bro, we just lost? Or are you like, oh, okay, I get it?
Yeah, see, I kind of started off in that perspective. Like, I'd be like, damn, bro, like, we lost. It don't matter. But then as I'm seeing it towards the end, you got to do your job because that's what matters, and you got to take care of yourself. So I feel like as long as you're not, like you said, jacking up shots and in a selfish way, like you producing on the court should be helping you guys win unless you're playing no defense. So that balance is kind of tricky. So
I think it's hard for people to fathom the fact that like you're being boisterous about scoring 25 and 30 and you getting
lost.
popped.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Fam, we see the stats. You did your deal. Like, but if you to be boisterous about it,
yeah,
like,
that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
that's,
I think that's when everyone takes it personal. Well, we'll stay on you for one more second here. But what do you think you guys could have done differently, or what were some of the factors that just didn't bring you out to?
Yeah,
How many games did it go? Give us kind of a background.
Embarrassing. It went 4 games, so you know what that means. I'll get that out of the way first. Yeah, let's leave that on the table. But yeah, it happens. It's a learning experience. Like I told some of the guys, like there's players that we look up to, some of the greats, and they've been swept. So I can't sit back and be like, oh, I got swept, so I'm a bum now. No, it's part of the game. Just like getting dropped and getting dunked on and getting a 3 in your face, it's all part of basketball. So not to make excuses, but we had some injuries, which I think kind of set us back a little bit. But then I think
To some key players?
to some key players, yeah. So then the focus of our team, like it just kind of, we were all focused on the injuries and just a bunch of different stuff. So before the game, our preparation wasn't where it needed to be. And clearly, if you've never been to the finals before, preparation is big in championship games. So I think that's really what we lacked. And then the other team was locked in and focused. So shout out Denzel Taylor because he got the ring.
Good stuff. Well, that kind of leads us right into what we wanted to get into today was Game 5. Kind of playing on you. You said your team went through these injuries, and when you look at it, the big story from Game 5 obviously was leading into the game was the return of KD and what that infusion of KD back into the lineup was going to do for Golden State. I want to really just kind of look through and take everyone's different perspective on the KD injury. Obviously, the big news was that he was injured, and the subsequent news was that people perceived the Toronto fans as cheering for his injury. You kind of have a little bit of a different take on that, and I'm going to let you kind of give your point of view in regards to whether or not you think the crowd was cheering, or was it a sense of something else?
No question. Me and Skeete were talking about this just yesterday, and I really think like it's a confused notion because I think it's a sigh of relief, what it really was. It's a sigh of relief because the fans saw an opportunity for a championship, something that's never been done in Toronto before. Because when KD's on the floor with Golden State, it was so evident and clear that Golden State's a total different basketball team. And so when he went down, it wasn't the fact that KD as a person or player went down, the fact that, wow, we might have a chance at this thing, And so I think that's the biggest thing. And secondly, I think, honestly, I blame the media a little bit. Every day it's a headline, KD might return, KD might not. No one knows what's happening to KD. So it's always like this little, what's that little thing, a string just going back and forth. So I think fans are also happy that, that string is no longer there. KD actually gets hurt and he won't be participating.
It does, and we'll come back to you in one sec, Jeremy, but just to continue on yours, with that whole thing, that infusion of KD into the lineup really gave Golden State some life last game. Obviously, with him going down, there was a low point for a second, and then it's kind of a rejuvenation of let's do it for KD, right, which I think kind of carried them through the rest of the game. Are they able to continue to play off of that going into Game 6, or does the realization of he's just not coming back in this series now sink in, and they're back to what happened in kind of Game 1, 2, 3, 4?
Right. No, that's a great point. And I think in the past, teams have rode waves off emotion. But I think in this aspect, I think the whole organization knew in the bottom of their heart that KD shouldn't be playing. So I think they already knew that, but they did put himself out there because it was do or die for them.
If you're KD, would you play? What
if
have
I
you
was
played?
KD, that's wow.
You're shaking your head yes.
I feel like from a player standpoint, we've all played. If you feel okay enough to play and you want to play, you play. I don't think your coach can be like, you're playing or else. No, I want to play, I'm going to play.
I mean, has it came out what the injury was? I mean, we all are
Achilles.
assuming it's Achilles.
It says Achilles.
Yeah.
But
I think now it's official.
It's official. And I think probably, and again, I'm not doubting what they put out, they said a calf injury. I think it always was the Achilles. To what severity? And I have a kind of a different take because, you read the reports and you say, you hear the fans, and a lot of fans don't know what really happened, and none of us really know what happened. But they're saying Golden State should have never let him. They forced him to come back. They did. I'd have a different approach on that. And the way I look at it is if KD knew that injury was severe, and let's say it was a partially torn Achilles at the time that it happened against Houston, and they're saying you're having surgery no matter what, there's a chance that it survives. It's going to be based on your pain tolerance, but it's up to you whether you want to come back or not. It's kind of like a 50-50 thing. I really believe that he said, what, screw it. I'm out anyways. I'm going to have surgery. If it lasts, I'm going to keep going until it lasts. And if it doesn't, I'm in the exact same boat that I'm going to be in, just in a whole lot more pain. Right. And I think it played out that way in terms of it because, I just, and I may be wrong, but I don't believe anyone forced KD to play. Yeah. I think KD really wanted to play, and he had nothing to lose at that point, other than infusing energy back into his team. So, Game 5, it was a lot of emotions. This city, I went downtown, and this city was ready to explode. This city was popping. It was raining out. There was fans everywhere. It was just like on the verge of like you could feel something. And it's something you've never really felt in Toronto, where it's like you have grandmas, you have little kids, you got people honking horns and running across streets acting crazy. Like it's just, there's a different vibe in Toronto right now. And that game kind of went like a little bit of a roller coaster. Should have they won that game?
Thoughts?
I do. I thought they were. I think just us watching enough basketball in our lifetime kind of know how the pendulum swings in the game. And I think because Golden State was in control the entire game, I felt that when Toronto hit that point of like where the fans get into it, they make a couple more shots, they took the lead late. I said, okay, like I'm watching, I'm like, all right, here it comes. And then here comes the Splash Brothers. So I think, they should have won. There's controversy about the timeout and
we'll get into the timeout in a
stopping the
second.
heat check and stuff like that. But I felt they had opportunity to win. I just think they just capitalized, and it really came down to Warriors making more plays than they did.
Did anyone read and again, I think I talked about this in the last show a little bit, but the referees report, the last 2-minute report or whatever it was, where they said, on one of the final plays, Golden State fouled Gasol.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And that should have been called. And would have that changed the outcome of the game? And having that report now after you lose, is it something you look back like, what the hell do we have this for? Like, we're going to dwell on this thing now, and the referees now have to look at everything like, I'm going to be ridiculed if I miss a call, and versus just like, let's hoop. Right. It's different. I'm going to skip over our projection for Game 6, or our prediction, and go to the next, down 2 more, because we touched base a little bit here. Timeout or no timeout? Toronto, I believe, was on a 12-0 run. Well, Kawhi was on a 12-0 run, essentially. Nick Nurse takes a timeout at 3 minutes and 5 seconds left in the game. I believe in the NBA at 3 minutes is a TV timeout, under 3. Good timeout or a bad timeout at a 12-0? I know you guys have differing opinions on that, but I'll start with you, Jeremy. Timeout or no timeout?
I think in that moment watching it, I probably personally wouldn't have called a timeout, but at the same time, I understand his calling of the timeout. I feel that as a head coach, nobody knows your team better than you, even sometimes better than your players, because they're emotionally attached to the run, so they feel like they just naturally, as a basketball, you just feel like, don't stop it.
So what would be the purpose of taking that timeout?
I think because the head coach felt like he knows his team, and I think he felt that if we get a bucket right now, like if we guarantee this bucket, that this is the basketball game.
It's the backbreaker?
This is
the dagger?
This is the blow it open bucket. So I felt, and we all say it, Nick Nurse is he gets on the board, he cooks it up.
His ATOs have been
Like,
on point. His timeouts, other than this one, have been extremely timely, and he does know his team, and
Yeah, like-
he's done his job 100%.
Yeah, like he does his thing. So I think he felt that, like I'd rather guarantee us a bucket and just put it over the top versus allowing himself to even get caught in the emotion of the game. And that's his job, to be a game manager. It's not, he shouldn't be a part of the emotional high and rushes of the game. Like, that's his game to be
Mark,
tactical.
I don't know if we could pull
game
up
manager.
at around 3 minutes and thing. I don't know if you have a way to do that over there, but if I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing the 12-0 run, Nick Nurse take a timeout. Golden State had 1 timeout left at the time. We had 3. And I was thinking, why would we take that, knowing there's a TV timeout coming, and knowing that Golden State has to stop the run, or they got to let it go, knowing that they have no timeouts left for the rest of the game. And I just felt like, if anyone paid attention to that timeout, they came back from the timeout on the TV and went straight to the timeout again. They took the TV timeout. That gave them essentially 3 minutes of rest.
Yeah,
And I think you take a boxer on the ropes that's staggering and give him 3 minutes, he starts to recuperate and regroup a little bit. And
champion too.
yeah, absolutely.
But I still think, though, like, even had he not called it and he gets a timeout the next media break, the ball still has to stop. So it's not a guarantee the ball's going to stop after we go down and jack it and they come down and score it and we come down and shoot it again and they shoot it again. At that point, it might mess around and be a minute left when you like, oh,
But-
well, there goes the run because
But
the
that
ball hasn't
that
stopped.
timeout's an under 3 timeout, so
The ball
True.
still got to stop, though.
it does at one point, but
no,
it could have been at 1 minute 57 seconds left, or they would have had to use that timeout.
Burn
So
theirs.
at 3 minutes, you give them enough time to regroup. At 1:45 or 2 minutes 10, it's a little bit different with less time to work, a little bit more desperation. The pressure starts to grow. It's just a bit. I mean, they are the defending champs and been in that situation, but it changes everything. And the only reason why I start to really look at this timeout even more is because they didn't take a timeout at the end of the game when I think they should. Because his ATOs are so good, you take a timeout to try to get a bucket to kill him using, and I agree with you, but then don't take one to win it, which
It's kind of like almost playing blackjack. Like you take a hit and you shouldn't have, and you get a face, and then the next time you get a chance, and then you like, nah, I'm gonna stay, and then the dealer flip a 20.
yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, so you kind of mess with yourself, and it's like, that's why they say, like,
We're-
whatever the rules are, stick to them.
We're all coaches, except for you. But when you sit down, you have to live with that. You have to live out, every replay, and every single time you decide, should have I taken a timeout? Should have I not? I think in this scenario, if I was down 3, I probably wouldn't have taken a timeout. I'm down 1. I have 5 guys on the court. I may have even been able to switch up the personnel a little bit to go with me. And I can't remember who was on the court, but I know Van Fleet, I know Kyle, I know Kawhi, Danny Green, and Gasol. I think I'm going in the post at that point because we know they're going to double Kawhi.
Yeah.
We know they're worried about Danny Green to an extent, and Kyle buried himself in the corner. And so you start to look at it. Would have that set been run differently? Could have we got something when the double comes, you swing out of it straight into the post for a bucket rather than the extra pass to the corner? And then, I'm all over the place. But then when Kawhi got doubled and went to Van Fleet, I would have rather Van Fleet took that shot. He's hit big shots for 2-3 series, 2 series at least.
Yes.
And you're still down 1. You get a rebound, you get a tip in, you get a
You
back
could have
in,
got
foul.
something. We got a desperation shot by Kyle because he got left with the ball.
Right.
Not because he wanted to. I mean, he might have wanted to take the shot, but he didn't get to take the shot that he wanted to take.
Yeah.
He got to throw the ball up at the basket because that's what was left. So I just think I would have liked to see that play out different. I don't know if anyone saw on Twitter, but even I think at 5:30 I posted that the game was going to come down to a final shot, and it was either Danny Green or Kyle Lowry that would hit the shot to win it, and it came this close. So
For sure.
predictions for Game 6. In losing Game 5, are we at a disadvantage from a Raptor standpoint now? Going back to Golden State, obviously home court there for that game. Do the Raptors still have a chance to win this series?
I think we win it in 6.
You think you win it in
Yeah.
Golden State?
Yeah, it's a different vibe when Golden State had their whole team warming up. You look over, you see KD, you see this guy in there, and now he's gone again. So it's back to
Looney's probably out.
yeah. We won 2 games in Golden State. We're comfortable. Our crowd is clearly moving with us to San Francisco. So
I think all together right now, haven't we beat them? We won
Yeah.
2 games there and beat them in the regular
Yeah.
season. So there's a aura of confidence when the Raptors are
Yeah.
going back there.
Yeah. So.
Your thoughts?
I was trying to see the last play. I think, and also I just think as a basketball fan, I want Golden State to win this next one,
7.
just because I just want to see more basketball. Like I love watching these two go at it.
True.
And I think if Toronto's going to win, I still think Toronto wins in 7, to be honest. But I just think inspiration ball is hard to play against, and I think them going back because they haven't won a game in Golden State yet.
Oh yeah.
Going
true.
back, KD went out there, dug it out, and I think KD's the reason they won the game to begin with,
For sure.
and that will be their last game in Oakland, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just.
Well, it's the last game for sure, no matter what.
I think it's just in the world of sports. I think it's fitting that Golden State goes to Oakland and win the last one, and then the last one they duke it out in Toronto, and Toronto finishes it. But I think the high will then at that point kind of run off. But I think they're high right now.
What's
you know
your
how Clay
prediction?
get down in Game 6s, so.
I just don't see defending champs dropping 3 games on their home court, especially a team like Golden State. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Obviously, they're riding the high right now. I think they're gonna get this W, and then we'll be right back here Sunday at 8 p.m.
And I heard the
Skeete?
fans was talking crazy to Sonya Curry the other day.
Yeah, she
They
was.
talking
I
pretty
don't
wild
think
to her.
we can afford to lose.
She wanted that though, didn't she?
She was going back though. She
Yeah,
wanted
she was
smoke.
looking for it.
She
Yeah.
wanted smoke.
I don't think we can afford to lose 6, man. I think you got to end it now.
Are you worried
put
about
them to
Golden
bed,
State
man.
coming here in a game
Put them to
7?
bed because, like, when
It's-
LeBron and them were down 3-1, the fact that it's 3-2 now it's 3-3, you're looking like you're up 3-1 and now we're 3-3. They shouldn't even be here. So
Because now Golden State's
too
still
risky.
their life.
So
risky.
if they lose Game 6, is it over?
I
your
would
opinion?
say, yeah, just the vibe of like this Golden State. Oh, we're here now again. It's tied. Brand new series.
Throw
And
a
they've
little
done this
wrinkle.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I'm
I
gonna throw
like
a little
it.
wrinkle in there because we're obviously biased in terms of like the Toronto
Yeah.
fans and what's going on in this city, which is unlike anything we've ever seen. Everyone's saying the Toronto fans are better than the Golden State fans, but if Toronto was in the NBA Finals 5 years in a row, do we still have the same energy? Or is this because we've been searching for a winner for so long? And you and I had this conversation yesterday, is like this scenario of what's playing out is like the most Toronto thing that could ever happen. It's, we're up 3-1, it becomes 3-2, it becomes 3-3, and Toronto's saying, oh my God, this could become the most depressed city ever.
Losing a buzzer on
It's like,
Sunday.
that could be, that's the most Toronto thing that could ever happen right now. And I think that's what everyone fears.
That's
I think
why.
there was a level of confidence, up 3-1, like, oh, we got this. Now it's 3-2, it's like, we might have this. And then it becomes 3-3, and we're like, oh, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And-
That's why you
and
can't
that's-
afford to lose this one.
So I think, I agree with Skeete, is if you go into Golden State and lose, coming back here, even though it's home court here, you still have some matchup problems. Van Fleet's done a great job on Curry, but Curry gets the most ridiculous shots off.
Oh, yeah. He's changed the game.
You know, the refereeing's going to become a question, which we've been questioning the entire series. Although they really helped us on the last couple plays to get a shot off, because the moving screen on Cousins, that happens every play of every game in every screen and roll with Curry, or every off ball screen. We get that call, get the ball back, and have a chance. So I just think there's too many factors that play against us. I think we got to win it. If Toronto wins it on, Thursday night?
Thursday, yeah.
What is the impact of Toronto business in terms of like, there's how many people are not going to work on Friday? What is the losses for companies? Like, Toronto's been desperate for a winner. And again, we had the Jays, and anyone that was around when the Jays won, you got to see the impact of like celebrating a winner. But this could, and I said it last game when I was downtown, I'm like, this could go down as one of the most epic celebrations in sports history that happens in Toronto because of the desperation that people want a winner. Like,
It would be insane.
no one goes to work Friday.
Yeah.
No.
I think, you look at it as like, I don't think anyone leaves the streets till
That's what I'm saying.
early
No,
in
you
the
don't go to
morning.
sleep. I
No,
think you
no
stay
one.
up all night.
5 in the morning until they walk up out of there.
Like, so you being downtown, anyone that lives downtown knows, like, every time the Raptors win, and with these 9 p.m. starts, you can't sleep downtown. You're in a condo. You're on the 40th floor. That feels like you're still in Scotiabank Arena. Like, that stuff's just echoing through buildings down there. Is it something you guys are going to go and partake in or head down or want to be a part of?
I think I want to be a part of it. Then I think when it's time for me to actually get in the car and go, I'll be like, man, I don't know. Like, but it's something like it makes you like just want to be there. Like people like hitting my phone, like, are you a Raptors fan now? Are you cheering for the Raptors? Like, and I think I'm not cheering for the Raptors. It's just that like I rock with y'all. Like y'all my people. So it's like and y'all love the Raptors, and I'm at your house all the time. And it's like Kawhi from LA. So like I naturally kind of gravitate towards wanting to see them win. And just being here, like I thought about it the other night, like I can in my life, like can tell my children one day, like, yo, I was in Toronto when the Raptors first won the title, like, and just being able to say it, like that's different.
I think that's the key. Is like,
That's it.
you know, maybe it is different, but there's never going to be a first one again. And so I think you got to kind of partake in what there is to offer to be a part and be able to tell your kids or your kids' kids, I was there when that happened. And I read your tweets the other day where you're like, it's just different in Toronto right now. Some of you guys, like, you've gone through Lakers championships and no one acted the way that Toronto people are acting.
Right.
And it's, you know, I think it's really neat when you go downtown is when the Blue Jays won for years after. You went away to prep school in the U.S. and what was the first thing you had to make sure you had when you were away in the U.S.? A Blue Jays hat. Because you're repping Toronto.
Yeah.
And the trend, and, you know, I love Marcus Stroman, and, you know, I hope the Blue Jays rebuild this thing up good again, but everyone's going to have that Raptors hat now, or that Raptors shirt, or there's something, you know, and then the mixture with OVO and some of the apparel that's coming out there. I think Toronto kids and people from outside Toronto are going to be repping all of those things, you know,
I think it's
hard.
monumental for like looking at Manny's shirt, like for Canada basketball in general, like the fact that a Canadian team, the only one Canadian team, like won an NBA title, like that's different. Like you look at the draft. I mean, Canadians are in the draft this year. Like I think there's as many people in the draft that there are current Canadian players in the NBA right now. It's like you literally double it in one draft class that's coming up. And it's like I think it's kind of like a whirlwind right now for Canada basketball.
Yeah.
Like
I think does it help? When any series is happening in sports, they always say, is it good for the sport? Is it good for the NBA? Having Toronto against Golden State right now, is that good for the NBA in terms of viewership, in terms of like that international flavor of like, hey, we want to keep the National Basketball Association World Championship in the U.S. We don't want that going to Canada.
Right.
Is there that? And then on top of it, does it help basketball grow? And does Mexico City get a franchise quicker as a result of Canada winning?
Well, right. I mean, I seen something where it's like 6 million people were watching Game 5. 4 million watch the Super Bowl. So
In
it's
Canada.
like, yes.
It's impressive.
So it's like 2 million more. Just to put that in narrative, it's like basketball like people are being exposed to the sport and seeing, you know, what a wonderful sport and what a wonderful time it is for Toronto. So it's like the viewership's there, so they're winning on that aspect. And then from the growth of the sport, it's just like the reason kids born in 92, 93, 94, 95, it's like we remember Vince Carter when we were like this big, standing in front of a TV, wearing a purple jersey, he was dunking all over the place. You know, that's what made us want to hoop in our backyards. So little kids that see guys like Kawhi, you know, that's their Vince Carter. And so they're going to want to, you know, play the sport instead of playing hockey and hockey and soccer like they have. And so I think we're going to see the perks of it, you know, 10, 12 years from now.
I think something good is we're not a super team. So now it's kind of going back to real ball. Like you have your starting five, you have your bench, you have your call-ups, and everyone's contributing instead of this whole thing where whoever started it and now you have Draymond, Clay, Steph, and KD's hurt. But that big super team where it's kind of a real organization with your star, you build around him, and then
How many stars do we have?
one. He's proven that he can maybe be a star now, but
Siakam.
I was going to say
I
Lowry.
think subjective. Like, what's a star?
Yeah.
In your opinion.
Kyle Lowry's a 5-time
He's a
All-Star.
That's what I'm saying. So
He's a
yeah.
star.
A top 10 player.
But I mean, like, he's not a super team kind of guy.
I mean, if we're gonna put no disrespect to Draymond,
Yeah, I don't think Draymond is either. I would have
but
including him.
he's an All-Star.
Yeah.
Is he?
That's what I mean. Like, what's a star? That's the thing.
To me, a star is an All-Star caliber player that continuously is in the talks to be an All-Star every year.
Yeah. Then Kyle
Lowry's been a 5-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Kawhi is there. I think arguably, and anyone that knows basketball, Siakam should have been in the All-Star game this year and was very close.
Yeah.
Get paid. His paycheck.
And then you have, like you said, the pieces. And so I think it's just when you put the roster on paper and you look at like 14th pick, second round, undrafted, this is the definition of a true model of the makeup and DNA of a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus fabricated to outpower you in talent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
top
think
heavy.
that's what it is, and I think that's the appeal. Is like that's the big bad wolf. That's the guys that all teamed up to try to just take advantage of everyone in the NBA.
Exactly.
And these are these underdogs that are just sitting there chopping at the bottom of the bark, trying to bring this big tree down, and that's the appeal. To, it's David and Goliath.
That's where my confidence lies in them winning one of the next 2 games. Like, honestly, like, you look at them top to bottom, and you look at Marc Gasol and Siakam and Kawhi and Danny Green and Van Vliet and Lowry, and, like, they have a really, really good basketball team with length.
Solid.
They can pass it, they can shoot it, they're all can pass, dribble, shoot. Like, and that's scary. And the way Nick Nurse dials it up, like, that's scary the way when they really are going, and then they're a superstar, then their superstar is being a superstar, they're good.
See, I think Kawhi's got that takeover power that you're starting to see that you didn't get to see, where it's like Toronto needed a bucket, he went on a 12-0 run.
Yeah.
He changed the whole. He changed the whole narrative of that game by himself because he knew he needed it. Whereas he always was a defensive lockdown specialist. He was a capable offensive player. Now you're starting to see that what legends are made of. Essentially, I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan or LeBron, but he's got the power to take over a game when and where he needs to. The guy that I've been most impressed with, Ibaka. He's came into games and changed the tides. Like, you look at the stat, other than the last game, he scores over 10 points, they win. And he's been hooping. And in that Milwaukee series, he was hooping. He changed a couple of those games, coming in, getting huge rebounds, putbacks. He is a lot of character that, Van Fleet is like that undersized warrior that's getting beat up, but you can't take him out. You can't take him out. He's starting basically.
Yep.
He's playing above starter minutes and doing everything. So I agree. I think we do get the next game. I become very nervous if it goes 7, and I think the fans of Toronto change in a game 7. I think they sit on their hands a little bit more versus trying to push them over because of the nervous, scared.
I've never been there.
And we've seen what's happened in Game 7s against Philadelphia in the past and against, Cleveland. And we now have the ability to do it. We just got to get it done. Side note, when I've been watching the games on TSN and Sportsnet, and one of the favorite things I like to do when the game's on is when they pan to Jurassic Park. If anyone pays attention to the signs that some of the people have in there. So my favorite one against Milwaukee was the Milwaukee Buck Tees. And then I saw one last game. It was a Golden State waste use.
Yeah, that's the best one. That's the best
So it's
one
like
I've seen.
those, and if you take all of those signs, no one outside of Toronto really knows what that means. Like that's such a Toronto thing. That's like a 6 bus thing.
Yes.
It's like that definitely would be like.
There was one more in Golden State where it said, Toronto doesn't business guy. And that was pretty funny because you would never understand that unless you were from here.
But it's another point. Fred Bloodcleat.
I didn't see that.
That was
That's creative.
So it's like the fans are coming with it. And Jurassic Park, apparently a dude that was in Jurassic Park last game just lined right back up
Yup.
with a 10.
Right after the game.
Right after the game for the next one.
That's funny.
Those are the real fans. When you
Yeah.
look at, you're sleeping outside, and going through Friday was hot as heck. You know, Saturday was warm outside. Sunday it rained, and they're out there through all of that.
Yeah, I didn't go because it was raining. I was like, oh, no,
It's-
I'm not going down there.
Yeah, I mean, and it cleared up by
Yeah.
game time. It was nice and clear, and everything was cool. But on here, and we're gonna go to odds are quickly, and then we're gonna come back. Is there any questions, Mark? So we'll go to odds are, and one of the odds are with these guys, and he had a tough one. So I'll give you some background. His odds were that he had to go line up first in line for game 5. It would have been the last game.
It would have been, it would have been game 5.
And he'd have to go line up, but he'd have to keep on live so that we could see it the whole time. And so,
What were the odds?
what was it? 1 in
20.
1 in 20.
No, 1 through 15.
15, yep.
15.
That's fair.
We were close, but so your odds are for this as being the new guest on the show today is when the Raptors win. You have to go downtown, stay on live, but you have to wear a Curry jersey the whole time.
Oh, how am I going to get beat up? I need a licensed pistol. Like, no way. I would wear the Curry Raptor. Del Curry.
I don't think you'd be able to get your
I
hands
would
on that. I think that's a good odds are, no?
That's pretty good.
Just-
We'll hire security
I'm
for
going
you.
to say, if you give me hired security, I'm in there.
Without 1 through 20.
Yeah, just extend the odds.
That's
1 through 50. There you
No,
go.
I'll go 20.
1 through 20.
I ain't scared.
He said I ain't scared.
I'm just related to the Currys, I guess, at that point.
You have to walk around yelling, "You can get away
I can
with it! Aisha!" Like, hey,
Yo, 4 or
man.
5 tournament, that's my cousin.
Yeah.
You must be like a second.
But like
cousin.
after
you
the win, like you had to be really bold to do that. After a win, that's crazy.
You probably throwing shit.
Oh,
He's gonna
no,
have to.
yes.
They're gonna come for him. He's like, "No, I brought it to burn."
Yeah.
Here, fire.
Can't stand Curry. Yeah.
All right. So what are we doing? 1 through 20.
Yeah. So how does it work exactly?
So me and you are gonna. They're gonna 3, 2, 1 us.
Okay, yeah, but you're gonna go 3, 2, 1, and we go.
Yeah.
All right.
You don't want the number to be the same.
This is terrible.
The thing is, we
Here
don't
we go.
play this so much now, bro. That like, it's got to a
fear
point to where,
losing.
like, we
Yeah.
actually do lose now.
Yeah.
We play it so much.
I don't have a Curry jersey either, so.
No, we'll get you one. This shit about be epic.
Go ahead, Jake. You ready, dog?
Ready?
Okay, hold on. Let me get my number. All right.
3, 2, 1.
10.
16. I knew you were gonna do that. I almost said 10, but I was like, you're smarter than that.
I remember
Yeah, he's too smart.
no, because that's his jersey
It's
number.
right here. And I was gonna say 10.
And he
like,
said earlier.
But he's too
would've
smart.
been bad.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done
He
that.
said earlier,
you would've hated
10 is my
that.
jersey number.
See? And I knew you peep stuff like that. That's why I was like, you know what? Let me stay away from 10.
Ah, that was close.
We got one.
We haven't got one yet.
Wrap it up. We got
One question here.
That's a good one, though. I like that.
Jackie, she's not here with us today, so she got a question. She said, we know it's not Brandon, but who's winning in a 3-point competition? So I'm assuming she's talking about the coaching staff.
Oh, she putting that back up.
Wow.
You can shoot. Are you
It's
counted in
not
this?
Brandon, though.
These guys have never seen me shoot.
He can shoot, but you can shoot.
I think it'd probably be me or Pat. Then I'll say me at the end.
I'd probably be third. Brandon probably coming last.
You're not included?
No, I beat Brandon.
You can shoot.
If Brandon's in the car listening right now, he's like, no.
No, but
Brandon's an in-game shooter. He hits shots that you don't
Brandon
expect
the
him
game
to
winner
hit.
yesterday.
Did he?
Brandon
Yeah,
Ruben opened
even
it.
though, so now at runs, we're having to end the game with a free throw. Brandon's team had like 4 or 5 game winners and just couldn't make a free throw.
Dang.
Wow.
So Fam can't make free throws, so I don't know about him right now.
Oh, can we add in one thing? What about the players that aren't on the team anymore? They're getting a ring. How do you
Yeah,
feel about that?
that to me is like a weird. So when you look at it,
Who is it?
um,
CJ?
you got
McCall? Is McCall getting one?
No.
no McCall gets
he's
a ring
there,
no
he's
matter
there.
what.
Oh, he's
for-
going
He's there now.
he's with the Raptors. He's talking about the Raptors. So John Valanciunas gets
Yeah.
a ring.
Oh,
CJ Miles.
Deron Wright.
Yep, DeLon Wright,
gets a
CJ
ring.
Miles.
CJ
Start the
Miles.
season, you get one?
You play over, I think it's 40 games or
Yeah.
41 games.
CJ Miles.
Then you get a ring.
Monroe?
Wow. I feel
Probably.
Monroe?
When
There's like
like
5
would
of
that
them.
actually does it have
weird.
any
Yeah, so he
meaning?
cut
Like
out
for
40, he's like,
a guy though, really like
Jonas?
Jonas, does it mean something because he helped kind of get him
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
Or do you look at it and say, yo, this shit's going on eBay?
It ain't the same, bro. Like,
It's not.
Yeah, same. No way.
Because
What
been
do,
there for
what
a
do you
couple-
think?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
if you want to, you got traded from the team that you guys lost to in the
Mm-hmm.
finals, and then they give you a ring.
Like if I was involved in the ground stages and building up to it, it'd be cool, but it wouldn't be the same because I didn't participate in the finals. So it's kind of like
Is
thanks,
it too soon?
but-
Because a guy like Vince Carter, do you think giving Vince Carter a ring would have some meaning of like, yo, you helped start this? No?
If he was willing to come back and retire
Carter's
thereafter,
long.
No, I'm just saying of that, like,
I think they're.
Okay,
I
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
I just don't think a ring commemorates. I don't think a ring does that. I think they're going to do something. They might
Should
get him a
Toronto
ring, a
retire
different-
his number
They might get
then?
him a different
Yeah.
ring or something like
Or
that.
retire
Should-
VCs?
Yes. Should have it been done already? Or do you have to wait till he's done playing?
Wait till he's done.
So what about T-Mac?
Nah.
whose jersey do you retire first?
From the Raptors?
Yeah.
See that?
No,
To
DeMar?
me, like,
Or they have to be done playing
I think
to
they
get
got to be
retired?
done, but
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
true,
I'd
true,
retire
yeah.
Damon Stoudemire's.
Are we retiring Bosch?
You have to.
Yeah.
I think you would.
DeRozan?
You have to.
I think
you
you'd have to after he's
Bosch.
done.
done.
Retired
Yeah,
DeRozan
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Alvin Williams?
No.
Okay, so VC Bosch,
Yeah. I like Damon.
DeMar.
Damon Stoudemire. I honestly think you have to. Wasn't he
Mighty
your
Mouse.
first pick ever?
Yeah, he was the first.
Like,
Yeah.
he when you think of him, do you ever think of Damon Stoudemire wearing any other jersey? Because
No,
I don't think of him in a Portland jersey. I don't
For
think
me,
of him.
I think it's different though who you asking. Because for me, I do.
You see him in a
that's 'cause
Portland
you're-
jersey?
Like, because of my age. Like when
Yeah, I do not see Portland at
Like
all.
he was what?
I see a purple
I see
Raptors
purple,
jersey.
vintage
purple
retro
one.
with the lines
Huh?
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lions and the
Yeah,
claw, and
yeah.
the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Because being in the
Like-
West Coast, like when Portland got good, Damon Stoudemire was the point guard.
Yeah,
When
that's
they had
great. I didn't
Rashid
even-
and Bonzi Wells, and
Yeah.
when they was going, like he was a point. So for me,
That's
in
true.
my age, like it's different.
So Kawhi's only been with us for a little while. Do you retire his? If he wins a
If he
championship,
wins a
here,
championship, yes, man.
even if he doesn't resign here.
Yes. Because he had the game winner to bring us to the.
I feel like the only reason that like we're even kind of like going is because it's Canada and it's Toronto's first one. If it was any other like organization, I don't think it'd be in question that he wouldn't get it retired.
Yeah.
But because of the grand scheme, I think we're kind of like,
You have
does
a
he?
game winner to send you to the next round in the playoffs.
But you look at it.
The
doesn't
organization
resign.
wouldn't be a question. He
Is
wouldn't
What's
retire.
I guess what you got to do is look at what is the
If you
reason or what are the
criteria.
criteria of like why would you retire a number for an organization, and it's in my opinion it's long term, skin in the game, so to speak, of what you developed as that persona around you as a player and the value you added. To retire a number, I think you had to have an ultimate sacrifice
Yeah.
or an ultimate value to that organization for them to say no one else could ever wear that number again. And so whose numbers, when you look at it, you'd be losing 15,
Yeah, 10,
2,
2, 4,
4, what was Stoudemire?
20,
20,
10 if you do DeRozan.
which are pretty good because barely anyone's wearing any of those numbers now, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's a crazy question. Raptors win. I know we talked about it. Last thing on this, do you go down or not?
Torontonian, you're a Toronto fan.
So like
you're a
Thursday, I was
Toronto
planning to
man.
watch my family, but Sunday I was planning to go downtown if they go to Game 7. So if I'm already home, I don't think I'm gonna drive. Cause
I feel
by the
like
time we try to get in
it's-
downtown, won't there be already be traffic going in or no?
I'm sure there
It don't
will,
matter.
but-
To be honest, though, you
Where
just
do you
really
go?
got to just be out the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're
That's
like
true.
at
Like,
any bar,
if you're-
any restaurant,
Yeah.
You can go to
Yeah.
Square One and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
20-something
yeah.
thousand people
That's
going to
true.
party
I was
at
in
Square
Orangeville the
One.
other night watching the game, and that
Yeah.
was the most packed in a restaurant in Orangeville I've been
That's
all
true.
year.
As long as you're around
Are you going downtown
someone,
for Game
yeah.
6?
No, I think my plan is kind of watch and see how it is at halftime, and if we're winning, then kind of
Yeah, let me pull up.
start to leave out. But,
Really?
yeah.
And then we're gonna watch. You know, watch the game on the way to the
Probably listen
on the way downtown.
I think at that
Listen,
point, you're
watch.
just where
I
the
don't
crowd
know.
goes.
I'm gonna hope that I can make it downtown in the 30 minutes and then catch like half the third and the rest of the fourth or something. I don't know. It's like a hit and miss. I went downtown when the Blue Jays won, and it was something that like I wouldn't forget. So it's like
You
something
still
I'd want to
remember,
bring.
like, yesterday?
Yeah, I remember it like yesterday because
Yeah.
it was like, it was. I think he hit a walk-off home run to do it.
When was that?
So it was like
93.
93.
it
I
was
was
like
born.
crazy. So it's like you had to. It was just like it was something you hadn't seen before, and this is something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting.
When's the game?
Thursday.
Tomorrow?
Okay, last question. And I know we're basketball guys, everyone around here. What is the bigger celebration in Toronto if the Raptors win or if the Leafs win?
Oh, I feel like the reaction to KD shows it. We have hockey fans, and if the Leafs win, it's bigger because we're a hockey country. But it is the first
So,
ever.
you know what? You may have just touched base on something too. Is like in hockey. Okay, so KD goes down with an injury in hockey. If someone gets hit and they're out of the game, what does everyone do?
That's what I was saying when he was talking.
They cheer.
You lose your
When
teeth,
there's a
you're bleeding,
fight,
yeah.
you're bleeding in the penalty box. So like, yeah, that guy's out of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, is the true Raptors fan priced out of those seats now? And those are like corporate hockey fans that have become basketball fans
Yeah.
because there's
That's it.
winners now. And is that what we might have saw?
That's what I kind of thought it was. That the hockey fans just didn't really know how to react. So it's like, yeah, oh, he's hurt. Never mind. We got to calm down. Because they're used to seeing a fight. I get knocked out. I'm bleeding. And they're cheering, which is really not, the thing
I think
to
that's
do.
the same thing as like if a basketball player, like who only really watches basketball, watches baseball
Mm-hmm.
and sees a dude take it out the park. Like people think baseball is a gentleman's game. So
Mhm.
like staring at the bat, staring at the pitcher, flipping your bat. Like
Well,
in my mind,
okay.
there's nothing wrong with that. Like I just beat out the park.
Yeah.
I'm throwing my
Like,
bat,
we're
I'm
doing it
looking
every
at you
time.
Like,
Yeah.
What's up?
In
Yeah.
baseball-
but they take it as disrespect. They
Yeah.
want to fight.
What
like,
wasn't?
Good
Didn't the
point.
Raptors bring him to the last game? Joey Batflip was at the last game,
Was he?
and you look at Toronto went crazy, and they still do it to today. Replay that bat flip, like that's just like is that hockey, basketball?
I think
That's
it's just
the
difference
culture.
in-
That's a good point.
Difference, yeah.
Because we would do that every time. I didn't think anything was
Because let
wrong
me
with
go
it.
play baseball as a basketball player, and I beat it out
Home
the
run,
park.
I'm celebrating.
What?
Yo, I want to throw
Nuts.
my bat and try to chase it.
Yeah,
Like,
we're celebrating.
I might stand it like it's gonna be a rumble because I'm gonna
Yeah.
stand there, I'm gonna watch it.
It's over.
I'm being in the
Yeah.
box the whole time, stare at you, walk around like
how much more exciting would baseball be if you could actually talk crap to the
Oh,
pitcher
way
before he
better.
like, yo, I dare you to pitch it here.
bro, baseball
and
would
it's
be
like
baseball would be cracking, I'm telling you.
They're just gonna throw the ball right at you.
we need to start our own the trash
Bro,
major
only-
league.
Just like NFL they built the XFL when they was just doing
Yeah.
all type of stuff. Their own deal.
It's like I always say on my bucket list, I want to go to Phoenix for the what is it, the Waste Management Classic or whatever, the golf tournament, where you talk crap to the golfers.
Yeah.
Like, golf's
You
like
gotta be quiet.
Super
quiet.
quiet.
Like,
Yeah.
no, you're sitting there getting drunk and yelling at the golfers when they're about to tee off. Like, it's just something different.
Yeah, right.
But it's so true. I think it could be a mix of everything, and
Yeah.
I think what everyone wants to do is try to detract the fact that a Canadian team's winning right now and put something else on, like, oh, they're not as good as fans as everyone thinks they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but anyways, good topics today. Thank you for joining us, Jarryn.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime you're around, feel free to drop in, and
Every Wednesday, right?
My man
every
Skeete.
Wednesday you could come. You could bring us coffees and jump in the show.
Sure.
So,
Mark, thanks for everything.
no problem.
We out of here. Episode 10 next week.